She froze in place, unable to breathe, unable to speak, unable to even understand what she was seeing. A lion, majestic and wounded, stood inside the glass doors of the Redwood Regional Hospital. Its golden eyes scanned the lobby, calm yet determined. In its jaws, gentle, protected, and barely moving, was a human baby wrapped in a torn pink blanket. Nurse Emily Sanders had worked 12 years in emergency care, had seen tragedies unfold and miracles occur, but nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared her for this moment. Time seemed to stop. Doctor stood frozen mid-step. A clipboard hit the floor, and even the automatic doors behind the lion dared not move. She could hear her own heartbeat, loud and panicked, but it was a faint whimper coming from the bundle that pulled her out of shock. The lion, without making a sound, walked slowly toward the nurse's station, his large paws leaving faint bloody prints on the white tiles. He stopped a few feet in front of Emily and, with incredible gentleness, laid the baby down at her feet. Then he stepped back, sat down, and looked straight into her eyes. Something in those eyes, it wasn't wild. It wasn't dangerous. It was sorrow. It was pleading. Emily dropped to her knees and reached for the child, her hands trembling. "She's alive," she shouted. "Give me a crash cart now." Chaos erupted around her, but the lion didn't move. Doctors swarmed in. The baby was whisked away to the NICU as Emily followed closely behind, her eyes wet with confusion and fear. When she looked back, the lion was gone, the sliding doors gently closing behind him as if he had never been there. But he had been, and he had saved a life. The story quickly made headlines, but no one understood where the lion had come from or how the baby ended up in his mouth. Emily couldn't sleep that night. Her hands still remembered the baby's cold skin, the bruises, the way her tiny fingers had barely moved. The child had been no more than 6 months old, pale and barely clinging to life. The hospital ran fingerprint tests, missing person reports, and searched local databases. Meanwhile, park rangers from Lions Ridge Reserve were called in to investigate the lion's path. It didn't take long to connect the dots. 2 nights before the lion's arrival, a storm had lashed through the region. Trees had fallen, roads were flooded, and a small family, father, mother, and baby, had gone missing. Their Jeep was found crashed at the bottom of a ravine deep inside the forest, flipped on its side, hidden under dense foliage. The parents were already gone. Their bodies were found still seatbelted in the front seats. But the baby's car seat had been thrown out of the vehicle during the crash, landing several feet away, miraculously protected by shrubs and soft ground. The infant had been crying for nearly 2 days, hungry, scared, exposed to the elements, with no one around for miles, except for one unexpected savior. The lion, identified by the rangers as Rama, a 9-year-old male who had been rescued as a cub from a wildfire years ago by the same wildlife reserve staff and later reintroduced into the wild. Rama had always shown unusual behavior. He avoided packs, preferred solitude, and had once been seen sitting quietly near forest stations without ever attacking. Rangers described him as calm, intelligent, observant. It now appeared that Rama had somehow heard the baby's cries in the forest. Whether it was instinct or memory or something far deeper, no one could say, but for 2 entire nights, Rama had stayed near the child. Rangers found lion paw prints all around the crash site. He had scared away jackals, wild dogs, and other predators. He had even curled around the child at night, his body warmth the only thing between her and death. But the miracle didn't stop there. Realizing somehow that she would not survive without human help, Rama had picked the baby up in his mouth, careful not to harm her, and walked over 12 kilometers through thorny woods, muddy paths, and even across the edge of town to reach the hospital. The wounds on his shoulder were from sharp branches and rocky climbs, injuries he endured without hesitation to save a life that wasn't his own. Emily wept when she learned the truth. This wasn't just any child. This wasn't just any lion. Something extraordinary had taken place. The baby, who the staff began calling Hope, recovered slowly over the next several days. Emily stayed by her side, day and night, often sitting for hours just watching her breathe. It had been 1 year since Emily had lost her own daughter to a rare heart condition. She had buried her hope with that child. But now, something stirred. A fragile heartbeat of purpose returned. The lion had not only saved the baby, but in a strange, mysterious way, he had saved Emily too. Word of the incident spread across the country. News anchors struggled to tell the story without breaking down. People from every state began sending clothes, donations, even letters addressed to the lion who saved a baby. Animal behaviors called it unprecedented. Some called it divine intervention. Others believed it was karma or fate. But Emily believed in something simpler. He knew, she told a journalist. He knew the child had to live, and he brought her here because he trusted us. Days later, Rama was spotted by drone cameras resting near the same forest edge where it first appeared. He stood for a while, looking toward the hospital building in the distance, then turned back into the trees. He was never seen again. Emily later adopted the baby officially and named her Hope Elizabeth Sanders. The hospital installed a bronze statue outside the pediatric entrance, a life-size lion with a baby nestled gently in its mouth. It became a symbol of compassion, courage, and the invisible threads that tie all living things together. Today, Hope is thriving. She plays in the garden beside the hospital where she was first brought in, her tiny laugh echoing down the hallways like sunlight. And sometimes on quiet evenings, Emily swears she hears something far off in the woods, the deep, steady footsteps of a guardian who once walked through fear and pain, not for glory, not for recognition, but simply because he heard a cry and chose to answer it.